There are some genuinely exciting games coming to Switch and Switch 2, and honestly, a few of them caught me completely off guard. So let's go through all of them together, because some of these you are definitely going to want on your radar. Life is Strange. Reunion is an upcoming story-driven adventure game developed by Deck 9 Games and published by Square Enix. And for fans of this series, it carries a lot of emotional weight. It is a direct sequel to Life is Strange. Double exposure from 2024, but more than that, it is being positioned as the full-length continuation and emotional finale to the Max Caulfield and Chloe Price storyline that originally started back in 2015 with the very first game. That is a decade of history leading into this one. What makes Reunion feel genuinely special is something the series has never done before. Both Max and Chloe are playable characters for the first time ever. Max returns with her classic time-manipulating rewind power, while Chloe brings a unique ability called Backtalk, which she uses to navigate conversations and push through obstacles in her own way.
Maybe this time is different?
Right when everything is falling into... I could do.
You bought us time. Time that we'll make the most of.
Yes. Lots to discuss. Right now, I think we should run.
Pokemon Pokopia is one of those announcements that genuinely caught people off guard, and honestly, in the best way possible. This is an official Pokemon title coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on March 5th, 2026, and it is unlike anything the franchise has done before. Instead of stepping into the role of a trainer hunting Pokemon down in battle, you actually play as a Ditto who has taken on a human form, and your entire purpose is to shape a sprawling, raw landscape into a thriving Pokemon haven. The focus here is life simulation all the way, gathering materials, crafting tools, farming, building homes, and slowly drawing Pokemon into the world you are creating. You can even use the abilities of different Pokemon to reshape the environment and attract new creatures, which is a genuinely clever touch.
Collect rocks and wood to build with. No need to rush, though.
If you grew up with the weird, wonderful chaos of the Toxic Crusaders cartoon in the early 90s, which was itself spun off from the Toxic Avenger films, then RetroWare's new beat-em-up revival is going to hit you somewhere deep and nostalgic. The game brings back the full iconic lineup: Toxie, No Zone, Junkyard, Major Disaster, Headbanger, Yvonne, and Mrs. Junko, all fighting their way through colorful pixel art levels packed with pollution and mutants. Combat is classic side-scrolling brawler style. Each character has their own unique moveset, and you can bring in up to 4 players for local co-op, which is exactly how a game like this should be played. Capcom is doing right by a series that absolutely deserves the spotlight again. The Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection is a full compilation of all 7 games from the Star Force line, hitting Nintendo Switch on March 27, 2026. For those unfamiliar, these were originally Nintendo DS titles, built around space-themed action, RPG gameplay. Think real-time combat, transformation mechanics, and a style of storytelling that set them apart from the classic Mega Man formula. Super Mario Bros. Wonder originally launched back in October 2023 on the Nintendo Switch, and it was a fantastic return to 2D Mario, wild power-ups, unpredictable level gimmicks, the whole package. But Nintendo is coming back to it in a big way. On March 26, 2026, they are releasing an expanded Nintendo Switch 2 edition that brings some genuinely exciting additions to the table. The visuals and performance have been tuned specifically for Switch 2 hardware, with 4K support and smoother frame rates making the game feel noticeably fresher. Beyond the technical side, there are new playable characters joining the roster: Rosalina and co-star Luma, along with brand new boss encounters to tackle. Perhaps the most interesting new addition is the Bellabelle Park Multiplayer Hub, a social space built around cooperative and competitive activities that gives the experience a whole new social dimension. It is the kind of expanded edition that makes revisiting a game you already love feel genuinely worthwhile.
Let's go over some of the things you can do. Plus, there are so many other attractions to enjoy. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Plus
Nevergrave. The Witch and the Curse is one of those games where the core concept alone is enough to make you want to know more. Developed by Frontside 180 and published by Pokopia, this is a 2D roguelike Metroidvania action game releasing on Nintendo Switch and other platforms on March 5th, 2026. The twist that makes it stand out is your main companion, a cursed magical hat that can possess defeated enemies and borrow their abilities on the fly. That mechanic feeds directly into how you approach combat, solve puzzles, and adapt your entire playstyle from run to run, which gives the gameplay a constantly shifting energy that suits the roguelike format perfectly. On top of the dungeon exploration and combat magic, you are also collecting loot to rebuild a devastated village, crafting new facilities and strengthening your arsenal between runs, so there is always something meaningful to work toward. Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP is the remastered return of the gloriously unhinged cult classic that Suda51 and James Gunn cooked up together, and the Nintendo Switch 2 version has its own particular story worth telling. The remaster already made its way to multiple platforms, including the original Nintendo Switch, but the Switch 2 launch has been deliberately delayed. Not because something went wrong, but because the team wants to release the digital and physical editions at exactly the same time, rather than staggering them. And honestly, the wait comes with a pretty compelling reason to hold on, because the Switch 2 version is getting an exclusive gun shooting mode. This is a rail shooter style experience that unlocks after you finish the main game, putting Juliet up against waves of enemies armed with a special chainsaw blaster, which sounds completely in character for this franchise. OPUS Prism Peak now has a locked-in release date, and it is coming to both Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on March 26, 2026. The game sits firmly in narrative-driven adventure territory built around atmospheric world-building and a strong emotional core. As you play, you move through mysterious environments where the story does not just get handed to you. It is woven into the environmental puzzles and the character interactions you encounter along the way. It is the kind of game where exploration and storytelling feel like the same thing rather than two separate layers, and that blend of expressive storytelling with genuine adventure exploration gives it a mood that feels very much its own.
Our hearts. Hey. Hey, kiddo. When you make it back,
Fatal Frame 2. Crimson Butterfly is one of the most genuinely unsettling games ever made, and it is coming back as a full remake on Nintendo Switch 2 on March 12, 2026. The original released in 2003 and earned its reputation the hard way, and this version is not a simple remaster. It is being rebuilt from the ground up with updated visuals, redesigned systems, and modern controls that make the experience feel current without losing what made it so haunting in the first place. At its heart, the camera obscura mechanic remains exactly what it always was. A ghost-capturing camera that is your only real weapon as you navigate a cursed, abandoned village filled with hostile spirits.
Do you think this is... Stay back. Run away. What happened?
The ritual will begin soon.
Mouse P.I. for Hire might be the most visually distinctive game on this entire list. You play as Jack Pepper, a private investigator mouse dropped into a world that looks and feels like it was ripped straight out of early 20th century animation. We are talking rubber hose aesthetics, the kind of old-school cartoon energy that immediately calls to mind something like Steamboat Willie. But underneath that charming visual style lives a fast-paced first-person shooter built around noir and slapstick influences in equal measure, which is a combination that sounds wild on paper and somehow seems to work beautifully in practice. The game is confirmed for multiple platforms, including Nintendo Switch 2, where it arrives on March 19th, 2026, and it is already shaping up to be one of the more memorable style-forward games of the year.
Yeah, I jinxed it, didn't I?
Dance with me! Exterminate! No entry gets through the gate!
Not that again.
Disney Dreamlight Valley first arrived on Nintendo Switch and other platforms back in December 2023, but on March 25th, 2026, it is getting a proper native Nintendo Switch 2 edition built specifically for the new hardware. This enhanced version brings improved performance and graphical updates tailored to what the Switch 2 can actually do, so the experience feels meaningfully upgraded rather than just ported over. The game itself is a cozy life simulation adventure where you build and customize your own valley, restore the lost memories of Disney and Pixar characters, gather resources, cook, craft, and explore biomes inspired by beloved franchises across the Disney universe. It is the kind of game you can sink hours into without ever feeling rushed.
With your help, this is a place where you can find yourself at home. This is a place where you'll have is a dream come true.